Now, okay. So we are now in the beginning of lesson 1 of book 1. And to give a breakdown, that book 1 is dealing with asma, okay? Isms, right? And what is an ism? An ism is something that has a meaning by itself, and is not restricted by time. All right. So let's keep that in mind. Okay. Uh, this is the major subject of the first book of the Medina books. All right. Now, let's see. Let's see now. Let's share my screen and open up the book. Okay. So now we're going to the main text as a review. This is dealing with the word hatha. Hatha. Hatha is a ism of pointing, ishara, to something that is singular. It's mufrad, okay? It's mudhakkar. It is masculine. It is qarib. It is close in comparison to something else, okay? Right? Because it doesn't necessarily mean that whenever you use the word, you're going to say about the other thing or what other things there are, but it is in relative nearness to something else. And it's for something that has an intellect or does not have an intellect, right? So this is when we use the word hatha, right? Then we had vocabulary words. These 9 vocabulary words. And the homework was to make note cards, okay? I really hope that you took time to make note cards, because this is one of the more effective ways that many people are going to learn. However, there's other methods that we can use, inshallah. Okay. And we're going to go over that now a little bit before we get into the meat of the lesson. Okay. Uh, the basic idea is that you can use note cards, you can use notebooks, you can use mind maps. When it comes to learning a foreign language, I personally recommend using flashcards for most people, okay, right? Note cards. And above that, in every situation, in every subject, I recommend using mind maps, okay? So we'll get over into mind maps here and discuss them a little bit. I just want to make sure I have all my screens set up for that. And I do. Okay. All right. So get back to the book. Sorry, guys. I'm going to adjust a lot more gracefully here. Uh, I'm using a new app. So this is a learning curve a little bit. All right. So the words that we had are Baytun, Masjidun, Babun, Kitabun, Qalamun, Miftahun, Mektebun, sarirun, kursiyun. Okay. These are the words that we had to learn. All right. Bait, masjid, bab, kitab, qalam, miftah, maktab, sarir, kursi. Okay. Now, why did I say baytun, masjidun, un? And then the second time I didn't say it? Because grammatically, it is baytun. But the way that we speak, when we speak Arabic and we're going to end with that word, we will not say the ending vowel sounds associated with that word. So we'll say هذا بيت, هذا مسجد, وهذا مسجد, وهذا باب, وهذا كتاب, وهذا قلم, وهذا مفتاح, وهذا مكتب, وهذا سرير, وهذا كرسي. Okay, so that's why I did that. Okay, however, it doesn't mean that those endings are not still there. They're still there. We're just not pronouncing them. Okay. So now when we talk about these words and we talk about how can, the main meat, how can we memorize all these words, right? I want you to look at these words and make associations with other things. Okay. Make associations with other things. If you're able to look at the word and you can make an association with something else that you know, connecting information to other information strengthens the information. And the more connections you have in your mind, the more that those things are going to stay. Okay. This is a very important principle, a very important rule when it comes to learning, actually learning something. Making meaningful connections between pieces of information strengthens the information, and this is how information is retained. Okay. So I can't tell you exactly how you're going to do that, but I'm going to give some suggestions, inshallah. So if I can take these 9 words here, if I want to learn these 9 words, what I would personally do first and foremost is I will take these words into a group. And then I will take these words into a group. And then I will take these words into a group. I will group these words. Why will I group these words? Because grouping information that you're learning is a way to pull in other more obscure words that you may not know very well and connect them with words that you do know, right? For new words. And it now essentially makes the brain think that these 9 things are only 3 things. What do you think is easier to learn? 3 things or 9 things? 3 things. So here we have it, right? Had the bad, we have these 3 words. We'll go from right to left, actually, because it's more correct. We have bait, masjid, and bab. Okay. So there's a couple different ways that I can group this together. I can say, for example, that a bait has a bab and a masjid has a bab. Okay. I can say that a bait has a bab and a masjid has a bab. Okay. That can be said. So if I make that connection, now I'm saying, okay, a bait and a masjid, they both have babs. Babs are doors to enter into them. So you enter into houses and masajid, okay, the same way, through doors, okay? Not through windows, not through, basements or anything like that, okay? You enter in through doors, all right? So let's take that, for example, now and see how we can make more connections, okay? A bait starts with a ba, and a masjid starts with a meme, and a bab starts with a ba. So we have BMB, okay? BMB. So a bait starts with a ba, a masjid starts with a meme, and a bab starts with a ba, making the English equivalent BMB, okay? If I take the letters B, M, B, and I say, okay, what is the B? What is the M? What is the B? Right? You make the first letter an object. You make the second letter a action. You make the third letter an object of the action or an adjective. Okay. So I can say B would be a bat, and M being making, and a B being baskets. Okay. Like in basketball. Okay. Now I have these three things together. BMB, right? Bait starts with a ba. We make the equivalent with a B. Masjid, meme with a M. Bab with a B. Bat making baskets. Instead of me trying to remember that sentence, I will just maybe say there is a bat right making baskets. Okay. I'm just giving examples, okay? And I don't have to draw this picture necessarily. That's the nice thing about doing this type of association. I can have the mental picture in my head. It can be animated. I can be much better at imagining than I can be drawing, right? So I can make this association and I can hold on to this because it's sort of obnoxious. A bat making baskets, right? So I don't necessarily have to draw anything to do this. Now, when I say a bat making baskets, okay, so the bat, the B is for bat, right? And so that is a bait, right? Bait like bat. Bat and bait sound very similar, okay? So that's why I chose bat, okay? So the bat, right? And then, okay, the bat was making baskets. So the M, right, is the meme, and the meme was, oh, that's masjid, right? Why? Just the association of the letter, right? Because you have to study. It's not like you look at this once and walk away and start thinking about bats making baskets and it's just going to stick. Okay, it doesn't happen that way. So you know, okay, bats is bait. Okay, then making is masjid, and then the one that is bab is the other one for baskets. It starts with the ba, which is a B sound. And so now I have bats making baskets. It's a very easy way to remember these words, right? And I've already done the association that both the bait and the masjid have babs. Houses and masajid have babs. Okay, right? And every masjid is also a bait. It's Baitullah, right? It's Baitullah. So the more connections that I make when I'm looking at this information, the more I'm going to retain it. I'm sure that you guys can see that right now, right? That babs are in masajid and baits. A masjid and a bait both have a bab. Every masjid is a bait. Okay. Every masjid is a bait. But every bait is not a masjid. So now I'm making comparisons. But they both have babs. Now I'm making the similarity, compare and contrast. Okay. So I can do this a few different ways. I can say a Venn diagram. This is a bait. I'm sorry. This is a masjid. What do they have in common? They both have babs. Okay. They both have babs. All right. So now I can make opposite, right? Every bait is not a masjid, but every masjid is a bait. Okay. Now doing all of these types of exercises in my mind is very easy now for me to understand this. That a bait, a masjid, and a bab. The bait is the house, the masjid is the masjid, and the bab is the door. Right? That's the goal. This makes things learning easier, a lot easier. If you study this way, this is how you're going to learn Arabic. If you don't study this way, you're not going to learn Arabic effectively. It's going to take you 3 times as long. It will take you 3 times as long. Remember, I told you that I've been studying Arabic now for 10 years. Alhamdulillah, I'm in a collegiate level Arabic now, right? I teach and I'm not bragging, but I'm just saying that this is my level that I'm at now, okay? I promise you that I can get you to the level that I am at 10 years. I can get you there in 2 years with 80% effort. Meaning, if I give you 80% effort, right, and you give 80% effort, I can get you to that in that amount of time. Okay. Believe it or not. Why? Because I made so many mistakes. I made so many mistakes learning Arabic. So many mistakes. And this is one of those big mistakes that I made. I did not learn how to properly learn until 8 years into studying Arabic. I actually learned how to learn 8 years into study. 2 years ago, I really learned how to actually learn. So I had been learning before, but not properly, right? And my forgetting curve was very high, just like everybody else's. And I know my forgetting curve is a lot lower now because I utilize these tools. Okay. This is more important than me sitting here and giving you a tutorial on the meaning of these words. That can be taught in any class. You can go to YouTube and learn that. But making these associations and how you're going to be successful at learning them and working on studying them, if we focus on that in the beginning, we're going to be able to even finish this book way faster because we'll be able to cover much more information because we're able to make associations. Okay. All right. Okay. So as far as something ending with a sukoon or tanween, I wouldn't say all of that. Don't worry about sukoon and tanween right now. Okay. Because it does end with tanween, right? What is being mentioned here is that sharing my screen again. What's being mentioned here is that with this word, for example, baytun, right? With the word baytun, at the end of baytun, okay, there is a tanween. We call tanween, right? It's two dhammas or two kesras or two fathas. Here, there's two dhammas. But when we say it in Arabic, if we say hadha bayt, that's how we say it. We don't say hadha baytun. The ending is not pronounced if it's the last word you're going to say. Okay. If I say hadha baytun jamil, see, now I said this house, this is a beautiful house, right? But because I was continuing to say something after bait, I did say the tenween. I did say baytun. But if I was just going to say this is a house, I would say hadha bait. But if I was going to say this is a beautiful house, I would say hadha baytun jamil. This is a beautiful house. Now, jamil ends also with two dhammas, but I'm not pronouncing it. I'm not saying jamilun. I'm saying jamil because I'm ending with it. That's the principle, okay? But I wouldn't focus too much on the grammar aspect, all right? Like the tenween, and this is tenween, and this is sukoon. Sukoon right now, you're not learning necessarily. You may already know it, but in terms of this book right now, you're not learning it. And there is a good reason why. We can make the association with it. That's because no word that's an ism ends with a sukoon. Okay. The words that end with sukoon are not isms. So that's a good principle. So it can end with a dhamma, a kesra, or a fatha, but it will not end with sukoon. All right. That's a nice principle. Making these connections, inshallah, right? So now look at the next set of words. Let's do the exercise here. We have a kitab and a qalam and miftah. Okay. A kitab, a qalam, and a miftah. Make an association with these three words, for example, if you're going to chunk them. Okay. If you're going to chunk them, chunk these three words: kitab, qalam, miftah. Now, how would I go about doing that, right? A kitab, we see here, is obviously in English, a book. A qalam is used to write. It's a pen, okay? It's a pen. Now, that doesn't show a pencil. Be very, very careful, that shows a pen. Okay. And miftah. A miftah is a key, right? We open doors with miftahs. Okay. So I can chunk the miftah with the bab and the masjid and the bait, right? Because all three of those need the miftah, right? Miftah, right? Miftah, fataha, fatiha. That fatiha came down when the opening of Mecca happened. Fathul Mecca. When Mecca was opened back to the believers, okay, Surah Fatiha, Fataha, that has Fataha, came down, and the association is the opening. And Fatiha is the opening chapter of the Quran. So Fataha, Miftah, Fataha, Miftah, Miftah. So now the key to open the door is the Miftah. And its function is opening. Now you understand better what the meaning of Surah Al-Fatiha is, right? It's not the introduction, right? That's a muqaddimah. But a miftah, fataha, an opening is in that sense of opening, you see? So now I can say I can use the miftah on all three. I can use the miftah on a bab. The bab that is on the masjid or the bab that is on the house, the bait. Okay? A miftah. Miftah is probably the more difficult word that you're going to learn today. Okay, it's one of them. Miftah and Surir, I think, are the two that we'll find the most difficulty with. So now we can chunk Miftah with these other three. Now, if I want to keep these three together, I can say that a kitab, right, is a Miftah to knowledge. A kitab is a Miftah to knowledge, right? Like if you want to learn something, then to open that knowledge, when you open a book, you open that knowledge to you. That knowledge is now open to you. But if you keep the book shut, the knowledge is not open to you, right? And if the kitab is a miftah to knowledge, then what is a qalam a miftah to? A qalam is a miftah to understanding. To understanding. If you want to understand the dars, what are you going to do? You're going to write notes. If you want to check to see how much of the dars you remembered, what are you going to do? You're going to write it down. You're going to write it down. So in that way, the kitab is a miftah to knowledge, and the qalam is a miftah to understanding. So now you're making the associations with miftah for the bab. It'll open the bab. And the bab can be a bab on a masjid or a bab on a bait. And every masjid is a bait of Allah. And the miftah can also be something that is not a physical key, like a book, a kitab. Because a kitab, when I open the book, the knowledge opens up to me. And if I want to open up the understanding, then the qalam will open up the understanding. Okay? Because when I write my notes, I will see how much I actually remember. So in this way, the qalam is also a miftah. And I can also say that the qalam is a miftah to knowledge as well. Because if you open up a book and it doesn't have any writing, then it's not really opening you up to anything. So if nothing's written, right, with the qalam, so now the qalam can also become the miftah. What I'm doing right now, guys, for everybody who's just joining, Jazakumullah khair, I'm showing how to make associations with words to learn information. Okay? Because here's what's going to happen for many of you. This is what happened to me. I studied the Medina books 3 times. How many times? 3 times. The first time I finished the Medina books, I said, what did I just learn? Actually, not even the first time I finished the Medina books. The first time I finished the first book, which I actually did more than I did book 2 and book 3. So I have studied book 1 several times. I'm talking about before I ever taught it. And was it necessary? It wasn't necessary. But what was I not doing? I was not learning effectively. And this is where everybody gets stuck. So many people get stuck in these Medina books, and they're not meant for that. But you got to learn how to learn first. Okay? You learn how to learn, you move on to more things. Alhamdulillah. Right? So these are the associations now, right? That a miftah is obviously used for opening. Let's stop saying key. I want to open things with a miftah. And opening is like miftah has the letters in it, fataha, like fatiha, which fatiha is the opening of the Quran. Now you understand what fatiha means more. It's not muqaddimah, it's fatiha. Fatiha al-kitab. Okay? And a miftah can be used to open any bab, a bab that may be a bab inside of a masjid or a bait. There's babs in both. Okay? There's babs in both. That a masjid is a bait of Allah, but not every bait is a masjid. Okay? Only the buyut, the bait of the believer. Buyut is plural. Just giving that to you. Don't have to worry about memorizing it now. The more I mention these things, the more they will stick for some of us. And when we get to there, we will get better at them. Okay? Also, a miftah can be a non-physical object you open a physical door with. A kitab can be a miftah because you will open up knowledge with a kitab. And a qalam can be a miftah because with it you open up understanding. There is a difference now between knowledge and understanding. Okay. Not everything you know you understand. You want to test your understanding? Start writing. How long can you write about Allah? How long can you write about Islam? Can you write a 100-page essay? Can you write a 100-word essay? This is really how much you understand, right? So the qalam, right, is a way. And by writing notes effectively, this is a key to understanding as well, okay? So now I've chunked these words, all right? let me erase mm, all right. Okay. So now let's look at these last three. Obviously, now we have something very similar. All right. We have a kursi, we have surir, we have mektab. So let's read it from the right to the left because that's the way that we learn Arabic. A mektab, right? Mektabun, surirun, kursiyun. A mektab is something that I can, let me erase this. Sorry, guys. A mektab is something that I can write on, and it's something I can read on, and it's something I probably can have my belongings on, right? Or in. Or maybe I need to also have a miftah to open up one of these compartments in my mektab. Mektab. Now, let's make an association. Here's another way to make associations with words. How can I connect these words together? What words can I chunk together into this, right? Mektab has three letters like the word kitab, right? Similar word letters to the word kitab. It has the kaf, the ta, and the ba, like the word kitab. Kaf, ta, and ba, right? Here we have, let me circle it. We have a kaf, a ta, and a ba. And we have a kaf, a ta, and a ba. When you find letters that are similar in Arabic, I need you to know that they are, it's not by coincidence, that they actually show that there is a similar meaning for the function of that word because those letters, especially three letters like that, kataba, right? Kataba in Arabic means he wrote. Kataba, okay? And kataba, uh, that's past tense, he wrote. Now, if I want to say he is writing, I would say yaktabu, right? A kitab is the thing that was written in. And a mektab is the thing that is written on. So now we can make a very good association here with these two words. And we can say that they all have a kaf, a ta, and a ba. And if I put those together, we have kataba. Kataba means he wrote. He wrote. Okay. He what? He wrote. Kataba. Okay. So what did he write with? He kataba with a qalam. And he fataha the bab to understanding. The kataba, he wrote a kitab on the mektabun. Okay. see it? Once you see it, it makes those connections stronger. It makes those connections much, much, much stronger. Okay. Here's what I want you to do. I want you, not during this class, after this class, to write down on this page everything you can remember from this class. Okay. Everything you can remember about these things. I want you to write it down after class. After class. Not during class. The time for knowledge is the dars. The time for fahm is after the dars. Right? The time for ilm is in the dars, is in the lesson. The time for understanding is after the dars. Okay. All right. Now we have sarir and kursi. A sarir and a kursi. Right? Ayatul Kursi, we know, right? Ayatul Kursi is talking about the arsh of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Ayatul Kursi, okay? This is where. So kursi, we see, is something we sit on, kursi, okay? And kursi, as they show it here, sort of looks like this shape, right? If we flip it around, it becomes this shape. And that's what we see here. You can also make associations with words by shapes and with letters and make association that way. You can also do it by, like we said, Ayatul Kursi, right? We have Surah Fatiha, okay? So we can make the association that way. The word sarir. Sarir is obviously something we sleep on. We sleep on a sarir, right? A sarir, okay? A sarir. Now, if I look at the word sarir, I can say sarir. Sarir, okay? Laying down on a sarir, okay? Seen is an S sound. A sarir is something we sleep on. A sarir starts with an S. If I'm going to write it down, I would say in English, sarir is something we sleep on. It's too fat. You see the association? Okay. Now stepping back and looking at it to other things inside of the dars. Your room has a mekteb, a sarir, and a kursi, these mini rooms, right? Your bait has all of these, okay? A mekteb, a sarir, a kursi, right? All of these three things, all of them are inside of the bait, okay? And I need a kursi to sit down and write with my qalam in my kitab on my mekteb, right? I need what? I need the kursi to sit down and write with my qalam. Sorry, guys. I am showing you what I am not. That is an artist. Let's fix this column because now it's looking like, what is that object? Inside of my kitab, on my mektab, in my bait, that is near the masjid. I'm just drawing stuff, guys. Don't worry about it. Please don't criticize me over this thing. Okay. And the masjid has a bab. So does my bait. Okay. The more you make these associations, this is how this is going to stick. Okay. The kursi, the kitab, the qalam, the mektab, the bab, the masjid, the bait. Oh, I was about to write an English. That'd be funny. Okay. I didn't write with vowel sounds. Okay. I did not write with vowel sounds. Right. I didn't use a teshkil because that's that pattern recognition that's going to help me to learn these words without being reliant on every single haraka. Right. Instead of having to say Baytun and have everything there. No, I can just say I can just say this column. It's not letting me write on this. Isn't that weird? Oh, there we go. I can just say bait, have the bait, and I know that this means baytun. Okay, I don't need to have this. And the proof is that the Arabs don't use it. They use it only sometimes, right? But I don't need it. And the more that I can learn that bait is bayata, bait, right? Yes, it's ba, fata, ya, sukun, bay, ta, doma, ten, tun, baytun. Yes, I know that. But I don't need to go through the exercise. When I read books and I see them written in their Arabic language, I can make the association, inshallah. Okay. All right. So this is this page. I'm going to undo all of this. Okay. A bait. We live in one. Stop saying house. Bait. Right? Imagine the house. Bait. We pray in a masjid. Every bait in every masjid has a bab. Kitab. A kitab is a thing that we learn from, right? It has pages, and the pages are written with a qalam, information, we learn from it. A miftah is a key. It can be figurative and actual, figurative and literal. A literal miftah opens babs, babs and baits, babs and masajid, right? Baits is Arab English. Don't worry about it. I can write with a qalam in my kitab on my mektab while I'm sitting on my kursi. Or if I'm feeling lazy, I can sit down or I can lie down and I can write on my sarir in my bait. Okay? The qalam can be a figurative miftah to understanding, the same way that a kitab can be a figurative miftah to knowledge. All right? Are there any questions about that? You can raise your hand, inshallah. And if you found that useful, the way that we went over the connections, if you can raise your hand, please, inshallah. Raise your hand if you found that beneficial. Jazakallah khair. Alhamdulillah. It was beneficial for, alhamdulillah, a couple people. MashaAllah. Jazakallah khair. Okay. So we're now going to get, now you see the style of how we're learning, right? When we closed the class last week, we closed the class with just these words, and your homework was to write them in flashcards. Flashcards are going to help you learn. Now, let's go over the flashcards real quick and talk about that. Okay? Real common, normal thing in learning is called spaced repetition. Spaced repetition, okay? Spaced repetition means exactly what it says. Spacing out the repetition of something, right? Obviously, now we're talking about learning. So how do we properly learn note cards? First of all, the note cards have two sides. Okay. On one side, we can write a word. And on the other side, we can write the meaning. That's one way. This is how so many people do this. But I'm telling you guys that this is the wrong way to do this. This is not effective. And it is effective to a certain extent. At a certain point, it will not be effective. It will be too much information. What do I mean by that? Times this by 250 words. It's just a bunch of black ink on the with Arabic, on the other side is English, and that's all it is, right? It's just Arabic and English, Arabic and English, Arabic and English. So now your brain is okay. It's like it's terrorizing. You know, it's like bad. What was that one? That's that would be the door, right? Okay. Well, what about miftah? It would be the key, right? That's not the way that we want to learn. Okay, that is not the way we want to learn. The first thing that is more effective than doing what you just saw is not writing the English words you don't need to know, because you already know what that word is. Why are you putting two words into your head when you already know one? It doesn't make any sense. So what will I put on the other side? I could simply put a door. I could simply put a door, right? I can simply put a door, okay? Or now let's put some steroids into these note cards. Going back to the lesson, once you learn how to learn, this dars going to be every dars inshallah is going to be yani mumtir. It's going to be something different, subhanAllah. All right, we have kitab, masjid, bab. Remember I said make associations. So we're going to make a note card now for bab. We'll make a note card for bab. Look at these words. We have 9 words to learn. Wouldn't it be better if to learn 9 words, I only had 3 note cards instead of having 9? Would you rather study 3 note cards or would you rather study 9 note cards? I would personally rather study 3 note cards, right? Can I chunk this together? I'm just going to do a hypothetical, okay? Hypothetically speaking, I think all of you know what a masjid is. And I think all of you know what a kitab is before you even came to the dars. And I think that all of you know what a qalam is and bait, probably. Okay, so we have, just hypothetically speaking, let's say that you are that person who understands those words. You understand the bait, you understand the masjid, you understand kitab, you understand the qalam. Okay, keep that in mind. Those 4 words you don't have to learn anymore. You already know them, right? But use them now. Use them. How are we going to use them? I want to learn the word bad. Well, I can say in my other note card here that I have my house that I want to get into, right? I want to get into this house. I have to go in through the bab. Okay. And the bab requires me to use my miftah. My miftah to open the bab. And I can say miftah. Now I have a 2-way note card for learning. Okay. So I can say on the other, with these 2 cards now, I know when I say bab, I'm like, okay, the bab is the thing you open up to get into your house, to get into your bait, and you need a miftah to open it. I've now taken 3 words and chunked them together. Do you see that? Okay. I've taken 3 words and I chunked them together. I took a word that I already knew, bait, and I took 2 words I didn't really know. I took miftah and I took bab in this situation. Hypothetically speaking, you didn't know those 2 words. Okay. There's one note card done. Next note card. Let's go back to my words. Now we have masjid. Okay, so bait. Let's use a different color here. Bab is done. Bait is done. And miftah is done. I still have kitab, qalam, masjid. Okay. These are the words that I know. Okay. Now, let's see what's a good chunking that I can do again. I can say, let me put 4, and I wouldn't put more than 4 on any card, but I can put 4. I'm going to put, can't use red and red, it's confusing. I'm going to put qalam, kitab, maktab, kursi. I'm going to put qalam, kitab, maktab, and kursi. Okay. So what word am I going to put on the other side? I can actually put let's see. I can put let's use the word maktab, because I think it's the most vaguest word of those 4 words. Qalam, kitab, maktab, kursi, right? Now, what was the association that I made earlier? I made the association that you have to sit down on a kursi, right? On a kursi, right? So you have to sit down on a kursi, and I will write the word kursi on the kursi. If you want to write with the teshkil, it's fine. Right? And that's the first thing. Now I'm going to make some furniture. No one said that your note cards can't have colors. I encourage them to have colors. Writing without colors is also another trap to forgetting. Then I'm going to put the maktab here, okay? And I will write maktab, okay? Maktab. So I'm sitting down on the kursi and I'm writing on the maktab with a qalam, okay, in a kitab. So let me see. Like I said, just me being Mr. Artist guy over here. This is where the challenge comes in. And with the blue ink, I'm writing in the kitab. I know that's a horrible kitab, guys. I'm just showing an example. Let's see if I can do better. Let's say uh, there. Okay. This is 2 note cards right now that I've made with these words. Okay. So I've now taken 3 words in the first, and I've taken 4 words in the second. There's only 9 words to learn. I only need to now put masjid and sarir onto a card. Okay. How will I do this now? I can say the more obscure word that I'm going to learn in this card is sarir. Now the word masjid has to be there. Okay. So how will I do it? I am going to say, first I'm going to use the word masjid. I'm going to make a Venn diagram. And then I'm going to use the word bait. But instead of using the word bait, I'm just going to draw a bait. Masjid and bait. What's the similarity between masjid and bait? Right? They both have babs. So how can I differentiate a masjid from a bait? Because a bait has a what in it? Has a sarir. See that? So now I can use this note card to show what the difference is, right? Now, what does that mean? It means that a bait has a bed in it where a masjid doesn't, right? I could put the sarir, the word there, or I could use my non-creative creativity, I guess whatever you want to call it, my sort of lack of any artistic skills, and I can just sort of make a bed shape, and then I can put the word sarir in it. Okay. These are examples, guys, right? So with these 3 note cards, I have now finished all 9 words. Okay. I have finished all 9 words. By making associations and connections, all the words are done. Okay. That is how to make note cards. Way more effective than if you were to write word for word on every note card. It will take you forever, and you won't be making those connections. When you make the connections, let's say, for example, now you look at this note card here and you say, like, Sheikh Umar, this note card has got so many things on it. Did I say that you will not be learning when you look at a note card? No, learning will still be going on until it becomes something you've learned, and then it's a matter of repetition. Now, the spaced repetition portion of it comes into how you're going to do it. So the way that you would do it is, first, at the end of class, after class, write cards at the end of this class. 2, 1 hour later, review. Review what? Review the cards. 3, after Dhuhr, repeat the cards. 4, tonight. Okay, what do you think is happening now? So now you have timeline. You have today, then tomorrow, then what? Not the next day, 2 days. Then what? 1 week. Then what? 2 weeks. Then what? 1 month. Then what? 3 months. Like this. This is spaced repetition. Review these 3 cards this often. Today, after the dars, you're going to write it. That's a review, 1. After that, after Dhuhr. After that, at the end of the day. So today, you're going to revisit these cards 3 times. Then tomorrow, you're going to review it. Then 2 days after tomorrow, you're going to review it. Then 1 week after that, you're going to review it. Okay? Where do you keep track of this? With the pencil, you can put it down here. You can say, let's just use the Gregorian calendar, 1-1. Then you do 1-2, 1-4. Then it'd be 1-11. And then 1-25, 2-25, 5-25. Now let's say that on one, says you write this in pencil, please write this in pencil, write with lightly, not heavy. Why? Because let's say on 1-2, you forget. Start over. If you forget, start over with the 1 day. So if on 1-2 you forgot, then the next thing is going to be 1-3. Okay. And then it will be, I'm sorry, not 1-3. What am I talking about? Now I'm going backwards in time. Sorry, guys. It'll be 1-5. Then it'll be 1-12, right? And then like that. See what I'm saying? So when you forget, you have to reset the clock, right? You have to reset the clock in your review. That means you will not always be reviewing all of your information, which makes it a lot easier for you. Okay. This is a manageable way to learn this information, inshallah. This is called spaced repetition. Okay. So if you want to take a screenshot of that, and then we will go to the last part of the dars, inshallah. We're at 1 hour and 30 minutes. We start a little bit late. Remember, classes will be an hour to an hour and a half on average, okay? And I'm not going to tell you how long they're going to be, because your brain will get set. It'll get set, But I recommend actually having classes 2 hours long. All my classes with my Arabic teacher are 2 hours long. Yes, my brain hurts at the end of every class because I'm challenging myself. I'm literally exhausted when I finish class. But that's because I'm challenging myself in learning. It's an action, it's an activity, right? And if it's only, an hour, you're not getting that mental fitness, and that boot camp is not going on, right? For little kids, shorter classes. When it comes to learning and knowledge, longer classes. All right. So now, ma هذا. ما هذا. Repeat. ما هذا. Right? ما هذا. Ma is an ism of istifham. Of what? Istifham means question. When you see ma becomes a question in the beginning of a sentence, okay? Ma has different meanings, but when you say ma hadha, it means what is this, okay? For something that does not have an intellect, okay? No brain, okay? No intellect. Let's just say no brain, but no intellect, okay? Something that doesn't have an intellect. All right, here's the person. It's the nose. Sorry. Here is the dimag. It's the brain. Okay. You will not use ma for something that has an intellect. Okay. But if you want to know a hatha, right? Ma hatha, ma hatha, ma hatha, then you will use ma to know what it is. Ma hatha baytun, right? What is this? This is a house. It's not the house. I know it's a house because the ending of it ends with two dhammas and it doesn't have an aleph and lam. Okay. All right. Hadha bait. Now, again, when I see one of these two, when I see ma, that's too bold. When I see ma and I see ma and this is making it a question. Hadha bait, is this a house? And your answer to this kind of question with the hamza is going to be na'am or la. We're going to go through this quickly because we're going to go into it in detail in our class, inshallah. Next class. I'm just priming this. Okay. Na'am, hadha bait. Yes, this is a house. Ma hadha, what is this? Hadha qamis. Okay, qamis is a new word. I'm going to highlight it and I'm going to put it in blue. I'm going to highlight it in blue. Okay. Hadha sarir, is this a bed? La. Hadha kursi. This is a chair. No, this is a chair. Hadha miftah? La. Hadha qalam. Okay. So we're using the a. When you use a, it has one of two choices. You're going to respond na'am or la. And lastly, ma hadha najmun. What is a najm? Okay, I'm going to erase these other. This is from previous class. We'll go into this in our dars, inshallah. This is a najm. Okay, this is a najm. That's what's in your book, right? And najm is a new word. So what do I want you to do today? I want you to make new note cards for those two words. Look, you only have two words, right? Or actually, I want you to make a note card for these four words, Naam and La. 5 words, sorry. And Ma. Make note cards for what? Ma, La. Okay. Let me see. Make note cards for Ma, La, Naam, Kamis. I don't know. I just said this. And for Najm. Okay. Make for these words. Okay. Ma, you can just circle the words in your book. Ma, Naam, Qamis, La, and Najm. Those are your 5 words to make your note cards for this week. Review with the previous words. If you did not make note cards, do for all 14 words. 14 note cards is nothing, okay? Focus on making your connections with all of your note cards using the different styles and different ways that we looked at here. Okay? So we're going to gradually move on more and more as we go. But for now, we're going to take this pace and then we will speed up and speed up and speed up. The most important thing is learning how to learn the technique. Once the technique is learned, it's very easy, okay? So anything that I said is correct is from Allah and His Messenger. Anything that I said is not correct is from myself or Shaitan. And Allah and His Messenger are free from it. Jazakumullah khair. If you guys have questions, you can message me, inshallah, and I will answer your questions in WhatsApp because we're going to end the class now. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.